Hey y'all, how are y'all doing? This is your girl Mariah Sincere, and I'm back with another live. I know I'm in here a couple minutes early, but that's okay. I just want to give everybody an opportunity to get in here before I really touch on the subject. I hope y'all had a amazing Saturday. I spent most of my day at the lake today, and it was really fun. I met some new people. My daughter attended 3 birthday parties that she wasn't even invited to. One thing about my daughter, she gonna figure out how to finesse her way into some cookies, cupcakes, and some food. Okay, but anyway, I'm just trying to make sure I come on here tonight, and I definitely have to eat my own words. Okay. And I don't always get things right. And sometimes I have to think about some things for a couple of days or weeks to kind of really flesh out how I really feel about the situation, which is why it's not really good to give your opinion about something too soon. But unfortunately, the way that people's attention span is set up and the way that the news and the internet works is that a lot of the times people only pay attention to trending topics, and y'all only really pay attention to things within a certain that happen within a certain amount of time. And if people don't hop right on it, a lot of people are not trying to hear it. Okay. So hey D Mally, how are you? I'm glad to see you in the chat. Please make sure you hit the like button. But yeah, so a lot of the times, I feel like as a content creator, we don't really have much time to ponder on a topic the way that we need to, because people want to hear our opinion right away, So um I'm going to talk about the whole Draya Michelle Jalen Green situation, and I'm gonna come at it from a different perspective than what I came at it last time, based on me had more information coming out and me having some time to consider other factors. Okay. Guys, I really wanted to like come on here more professional and maybe have some people come on. I promise y'all, I have everything I need to actually do a live like that. Like, I got a brand new camera, I got a microphone, I got all this technology, right? The problem is I am technologically challenged, and I'm trying to figure out how to use all this stuff. That's why I was supposed to come on 8:30. And then I was like, okay, well, let me try to play with this and see if I can get it together within, an hour. So I pushed it back to 9:30, but it's not working out for you, girl. This is one of those things where I'm gonna really need to sit down for a few hours and try to figure it out. But anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started on the topic. So D Mally, I'm sure you've probably heard that Draya from Basketball Wives is pregnant by Jalen Green. Which that's not a problem within itself. However, she's 39 and I believe he is 22. And she has a son that's either close to his age or right at his age. So when I did my initial live, I talked about the importance of us not necessarily just going based off of what the law says, right? Because people will say, oh, okay, they're 18, it's legal. And the whole basis of whether or not it is morally right or wrong or justified for somebody dating somebody so much younger than them is whether or not it is legal. Okay. However, just because something is legal does not mean that it is morally right. For example, not too long ago in this country, it was legal for men who were 40 years old to marry 13-year-olds. Okay. Then the law changed. If the law drops that age back down to 13, like say if there was a law that got passed today saying it's okay for uh people who are, 40 and 50 to date 13-year-olds and have relations with them, is that right? Do we then go back to saying, oh, well, it's legal? They should be messing with people who were that much younger than them. So you have to base that kind of decision on something outside of just the law, in my opinion. And I feel like eh, when you mature and you hit certain stages in your life, that somebody who is significantly younger than you has not hit yet, then you have a bigger responsibility and obligation than them to understand that they're not ready yet, even if they tell you that they are ready. And for me, if I'm a 39-year-old or 40-year-old woman, I would not date anybody if I was going to date younger under 25. And that's not just an arbitrary number or me feeling like, that's the correct number. There's a scientific basis for it. The brain is fully developed at 25. Now, at 25, they still don't have the life experiences that somebody who is 40 might have. However, the brain is fully developed, the prefrontal cortex is fully developed. I don't feel like it's an issue of me taking advantage of somebody whose brain is significantly less developed. Okay. And I feel like if you go by that standard, then it just feels far less predatory. And I feel like a lot of the reason why, and this is not just men, I hear a lot of women say, hey, okay, well, if you date somebody younger, you can mold them and you can shape them into who you want them to be and you can train them. So I've even heard women say things like that. And I feel like in terms of having relationships with people, um, it's either a person is for you or they're not. And people need time to fully develop themselves and decide who they're gonna be. And oftentimes I see this a lot with younger women. If an older guy gets them between the ages of like 18 and 25, she might be malleable at first. She might listen to everything he says at first, but when she begins to get older and grow into herself, then a lot of the time she will begin to rebel. And that's why a lot of times you'll see those girls end up leading that man at some point because now they're finally learning who they are, and what they liked at 18 they don't like anymore at 25. At the end of the day, no one can judge anyone else's situation, but they really don't know what the lead to it. You don't have to explain that to me, D Malley. Some things I feel like we can judge. I mean, I'm always gonna. I mean, you got to think about it. Like you know what it is if you see somebody. Like, let's say you see somebody that's 50 years old dating somebody 18. Like, I'm absolutely judging. And I'm saying this as somebody who has a young daughter. Like, it's some things that you got to think, would I want my own child to be in this situation? You feel me? It's easy to say we can't judge when it's happening to other people or when it's happening to celebrity. But D Malley, you're a man. If you had a daughter who was 18, 19, 20, would you be comfortable with, a man that's your age trying to date your daughter? Or in which you think he had the absolute best intentions, right? So when you put it in that perspective, like, hold on, nah, this is my kid. This somebody's close to me. A lot of times our opinions change. With that said, we're gonna talk about Mr. Jalen Green. So Jalen Green actually had a daughter. You don't know the circumstances in which they got together. Well, no, I don't, right? And some things you don't necessarily have to know the circumstances, right? It's some things that from the outside looking in, it don't really matter the circumstances. And again, I'm not calling Draya a predator or anything like that because I'm really kind of about to give her some grace. So when I came on at first, I was like, she real wrong for dating somebody her son's age, right? And I'm gonna stand on that because that's just weird. That's just weird. Okay. Um, to me, that makes me feel like anytime your son's friends were around and they might have been handsome or attractive, that you was looking at them that way, okay? Or that you was possibly thinking about having relations with them. Like it's just weird. Um, hey Cha Cha, what's up? I'm glad to see you here in the chat. Yeah, so however, it appears that Jalen Green already had a baby last year. Towards the end of last year, he already had a baby. And then on top of that, it is alleged that he currently has another woman pregnant at the same time he has Draya pregnant. So I think a lot of us were looking at this as, well, Dreya's victimizing or I guess grooming this young boy and he's innocent. But now that I'm seeing that he kind of has a pattern of behavior, he just seems like he's being reckless and perhaps he's taking some pride in collecting baby mothers. And in a situation like that, well, first of all, he's gonna be reckless because he's young. But I'm also gonna say this: I really don't care because now you're involving children and other innocent lives. So I'm not gonna give him too much grace on that either. So I feel like when you get an older woman like Drea, who sees that a young man is paid and you see that he's moving reckless, I'm sure Drea is not dumb. I'm sure that she knows or knew that he had other women at the time. So I feel like this is a situation where she saw a sucker and then licked him because let's be clear, if he didn't get Draya Michelle pregnant, it would be somebody else because he don't care. Cha cha. Everyone's reproductive system needs to go dormant at this point. Real innocent lives are being brought into BS situation. Shaking my head. Yes. Okay. People are having children for a check. People are having children for a bag. But on top of that, you also have people having children to stroke their ego. Because I'm pretty sure all the women that I've seen that Jalen Green has gotten pregnant are beautiful. And I'm sure in his mind, he just feels like I got a lineup of real fine baby mamas. I got a young one. I got one that's dang near 40. And for a young man, that's a flex. To get somebody that looks like Drea and is that old pregnant, that's a flex. So it's like he's collecting these baby mothers. So we can't really just say that Drea is, in the wrong and is completely responsible for this situation because again, if it was not her, it would be somebody else. Yeah, don't give that fool any grace. Yeah, I was trying to because again, he's young, brain not fully developed. But again, it seemed like he just out here doing stuff at this point and involving innocent lives, all to stroke his ego. Okay, I got a baby mama that look like this. I got a baby mama that look like that. And yeah, he can afford to take care of them for now. But I mean, if you have three different homes already, divided homes already at the age of 22, how good of a father and how present of a father can you really be, on top of the fact that you play basketball? And even if he have just one family, he would constantly be on the road. He dogging it. Yeah, that's exactly what he doing. He's dogging it for sure. Okay, so I have an idea of what y'all mean when y'all say dogging it, but do y'all clarify that? Somebody clarify that for me. Yeah, so it's like you 22 and already had three baby mamas. Do you plan on stopping anytime soon? So now that this new information came out, at first I was kind of looking at Drea sideways, and I'm gonna be honest. A lot of women, this isn't me because I like Dre. I've always liked Dre. I've always think that she's beautiful, but a lot of women love dragging Drea through the mud. Okay, any opportunity they get to drag Drea, they drag Drea since Basketball Wives, where she had that incident where she had those charges over her son. But even while we've seen her try to do better, and make a better life for herself. Anytime a lot of women get the opportunity to drag her, they do. And it's really just because she's beautiful. Because if she didn't look the way that she looked, nobody would care. Okay. Nobody would care at all. It's plenty of women that do not look like Draya that's out here doing the same thing, and nobody says nothing, nobody cares. But every time she does something, because of the way she looks, she's under a microscope, right? However, I just genuinely feel this way about older people messing with people significantly younger than them. And I don't, even though I like Drea, that doesn't make that doesn't negate the fact that I feel how I feel. However, in light of this new information, I can't really blame her for taking advantage of an opportunity. Would I do it? No. But again, if you are a person who has a lifestyle to maintain and you have this young rich boy coming on to you who is showing that he's dumb, is showing that he don't mind women making a bag up off of him. And they probably discussed, because I remember her doing an interview saying she wouldn't mind having, like, literally last year around, she would have had to have either just gotten pregnant. I feel like she was already pregnant when she did this interview. Like, I'm pretty sure they talked about having the baby, because even in the interviewer tried to bring up her relationship with Jalen Green. And then Drea also said, "Well, I wouldn't mind co-parenting and just talking it out with somebody and agreeing to have a kid with them." I'm sure they talked about this, just like Brittany Renner said. Her and that boy, what's his name, PJ Washington, had a conversation about having the baby. It wasn't something that just happened. He wanted to have a baby with her, and has had another baby since with another woman. Those women are tracking their period and getting pregnant on purpose. I mean, they probably are collard greens, but I don't think that they're purposefully getting pregnant by themselves. I believe that they're having conversations with these men. Y'all would be surprised at how many men will sit down and talk about having a baby with a woman, like plan having a baby with a woman, and then when she get pregnant, try to play dumb about it. Okay. With that said, that hasn't happened like with Drea. Jalen Green ain't coming out saying that he didn't agree with the situation. Same thing with PJ Washington and Brittany Renner. And even Brittany Renner came out and said they had a whole discussion. Like, this was a planned pregnancy. She did not force him into getting her pregnant. And I don't understand why y'all don't believe that men do that, because they very much do. Oh, a dog is a name for a male 304. Okay, got it. Drea has child abandonment charges and two kids by two men before him. He didn't vet her properly. Skinny boy, why are you under the impression that he cared? Like, so let's be, and everybody keeps bringing up Drea's child abandonment charges, but I mean, once Drea got herself together, she got her son. I think what it was Drea. I'm gonna give her some grace. I'm sorry. I am, because I know a lot of women who be having these kids at 17, 18, 19. I would have probably been a terrible mother if I would have had a baby at 17, 18, or 19. I probably would have made a whole lot of mistakes. I think what it was Drea, at that time she was poor, and she left her kid at home while she went to the club to go work, which I'm not excusing that behavior at all, right? And then I think the kid lived with her mom or his grandparents, and then I guess after she got on Basketball Wives and got some money, her son came back and lived with her ever since, and she been doing what she needs to do as a parent, right? And then she had another baby by that boy who played football for the Dallas Cowboys, and they were together for a minute. But skinny boy, men don't care. Men do not. If you look that good, Drea is very beautiful. You look that good, men do not care how many kids or baby daddies you got. I know y'all think the internet has y'all thinking that they do, but they don't. Especially when they have money. Only time a man cares about that kind of stuff is if he don't have the means to handle the situation. But when a man has money, He don't care. He really don't. Women really need to understand how these men view them simply as a service center and social boost. That's true. It's all about clout. And that's another thing, skinny boy. He don't care that she had a child abandonment charge, another two other baby daddies, because at the end of the day, he looks good that he got her pregnant, that he's that young and he was able to get a woman that old and that good looking pregnant. It just is what it is. The socialization of girls to women leads to the ignorance of this fact, unfortunately. Facts, cha cha. Unfortunately. Hi, unfortunately. How are you? Black females are the creates of domestic violence. Black femicide. Um, can you please expound upon that comment? I'm not sure I understand. No vetting whatsoever. Shaking my head. Degenerate behavior at its finest. Okay, y'all. So when I think vet, I think somebody that's like asking questions and getting to know somebody. But all this information about Drea is public, and I'm sure it was no secret to him that she has two baby dads. I mean, he's probably been around her and her children. So, I mean, it wasn't a one night stand. I've seen them with pictures hanging out together. So, why are y'all why are y'all making it seem like he didn't vet her? He did. He just don't care. He don't care. Skinny boy, 20 boy. So Princella talked about male nature, but not the nature of women like Drea. Okay, Princella is always holding women accountable. That's why they mad at her right now. Unfortunately, because nobody knows why black females want to keep blackness when black males want to get rid of black people and themselves. Um, okay, unfortunately. So I'm not like this is not really a conversation as to um whether or not black women should be dating black men and having children by black men. I said on my last live that I did that I feel like people should date who they want to date. So this is not a pro black channel. This is a date who you do what you want to do, date who you want to date, as long as we're grown and consenting and things are done with the right intention. So um I mean I get it, but that's not something I really care to talk about. Cha cha with you. Do y'all recall when Drake knocked up Johnny Blaze and put a hit out on her once she told him she was pregnant? What? I briefly remember them dating, Cha Cha. The Sophie chick did it right and told him after she had the baby. I've heard about Drake and I've heard he is very controlling and he throws his money and clout around. That's why Sophie don't do too much talking. Another thing is that I've noticed that Drake acts really weird with younger girls. And that's another thing. So we've seen Drake come out and he's dating Lotto's sister who's 21 and Drake is almost 40 and literally nobody has said anything about it. I've seen people say, "Oh, y'all going to say something about Drake but not Drea but not Drake." But honestly, if the Drea story wouldn't have came out, nobody would have cared. Like Drake been dating girls that are 20 years younger than him. Been doing it. Drea gets grace, but if her son turned out effed up, he wouldn't get grace. I mean, who is this comment for? Because I give anybody who is has changed their life around grace. So if her son came out doing messed up stuff, but he decided to turn his life around, I would give him grace. If you've been doing bad and you continue to do bad and continue to not handle your business, that is where my grace runs out. So if Drea would have had that child abandonment charge and then would have continued to be a deadbeat mom since then, I would not have any grace for her. So, I mean, my grace goes both ways. I know men who were trifling dads the first couple of years that their kids were born and then decided to come back around and actually be a fully present father. So, I'm not going to keep calling you a deadbeat dad when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing now. Yeah, he absolutely don't care, because that situation with Drea don't do nothing but make him look good. And again, he has the money to pay for the situation, so he don't care. They are so pissed at Princella. Anytime she try to hold women accountable, they get so mad, and she keeps telling them this is not the channel for you to come trauma bond or just continue to want to hear bad stories about men. Like, she's educated them on their nature. Now it's up to you to decide what you want to do with the information. You gonna sit up and keep throwing a pity party for yourself, or are you gonna refocus your energy onto yourself? Okay. But they not trying to hear that. Okay. They want to have a man hating parties every night, every live, and ain't nobody got time for that. Yep, controller, and that's exactly what he is. Drea has 3 kids by 3 men without marriage. No grace for me. Not everybody want to be married though, skinny boy. And one thing I will say about her, what again, is this something I would do? No. Because my hat goes out to any woman that has more than 1 kid. Because I have one, and that's a lot of work, right? And again, there are women who, have kids in marriage, and they end up single mothers, or they're in a house with a bad situation. You just really never know what people have going on. But at the very least, at least she didn't have 3 kids and all of them are deadbeat dads. Okay, or all of them can't provide for their kids. There are women who have 3 kids by one man who they are married to, and that man can't do anything for her or those kids. So I'm not mad at a woman who says, for me, the issue was the age thing. But I'm not mad at a woman who says, I'm going to have, kids by men who, at the very least, can provide for the children. Not wanting marriage but getting pregnant has destroyed our community. I agree with that to a degree, right? But then I'm also thinking about, and I'm gonna bring this back to like some things I've seen in my family and older women who I've talked to. um we like to make it seem like the community was intact when people were getting married, but I'm gonna speak for, like, even just my mom came from a 2 parent household, and every bit of it was traumatizing. Every bit of that relationship between my grandmother and my grandfather destroyed my mother. For real. Not just my mother, but did a lot of damage to her other siblings. Like, that was a relationship where they would have been better off co-parenting and living in separate houses, not married. Everybody's For the sake of everybody's mental health, that is what needed to happen. And that's just, my situation I'm speaking on in general, but I know a lot of families that are like that as well. So, I mean, I don't think it's a perfect situation. I don't think marriage makes is the determining factor as to whether or not a family is going to be a broken home or not. It's the two people who are interacting with each other and their morals and their values and how they choose to conduct themselves within a relationship and as parents. And there are people who aren't married who co-parent in a much healthier way than people who were married. I feel you, skinny. I am tired of wedlock children. Now, don't get me wrong, y'all. I feel like people are not thinking before they have kids. So I'm definitely not promoting just having kids just to be having kids. I feel like people don't really think about it. Like, they don't think about what all it takes to raise the kids. They're just going based off of, oh, I have baby fever and I want to have a baby now, or ego. Like I said, Jalen Green seems like he's collecting baby mothers. Okay, Draya seems like, hey, I'm having these kids, and at the same time I'm collecting child support, or I don't know, multi-generational family over nuclear family. Yeah, that's true. The revisionist history is wild. The shit they went through back in the day is very dark and unappealing. Yes. Oh my God. And I'm a history teacher, cha cha. And every time I'm doing my research, I'm gonna actually do a live about this when I can figure out how to get my technology growing going and I can share the screen, because the men like to talk about the fact that women, families back then were more intact and happier when people couldn't get a divorce and women couldn't work, but um there were high rates of women murdering their husbands. Like, because back then it was shameful to get a divorce, and if you were in a situation where your husband was really mean to you or beating on you, nobody was going to do anything. The police weren't going to do anything to him. As a matter of fact, it wasn't illegal to beat on your wife until what, the 1970s? Right. So women were in a position, especially like during the 50s. That's the time people like to glorify, when we had this conformist culture, right? Uh, that was when poisoning your husband was at an all-time high, because that was the only way that you were going to get out the marriage. People love to have kids for selfish reasons, but love to tell people who don't want children or even partnership that they're the selfish ones. No, that's true. I rarely hear people who tell me like that they want to have a kid. They don't tell me how having a kid is going to benefit the kid. It's always just about, I just want to have the kid, or I have the urge to have a kid. Um that's really what it comes down to. Oh, I just want to have one more. Or they'll say stuff like, I want my other kid that's here to have a sibling. And it's like, do you not know that kids come with their own souls, and you might have a kid that don't even like the kid that's already here. I know y'all done seen them siblings that hate each other, or they fought their entire childhood. So you out here taking risk with people's lives because you think the kid you already have needs a playmate. That's wild. The women of old complained about our grandfathers, but excluded the fact that they were getting pregnant by the milk man. I agree, the men were wicked too, though. I mean, I don't know. My grandmother didn't get pregnant by the milkman, right? I'm not saying that women didn't have their faults back then. I'm just saying women didn't have any recourse. Like, if she didn't want to be with the man, or the man was of course, like, you're more likely to go cheat on a man uh on the low with the milkman if you feel like you have to stay with a man that you don't want. Like, first of all, you got with him because you can't get a job, and he has a job and he can provide, right? Let's start there. And you're being forced into marriage by society, so you get with a man that you don't want to begin with just because he has resources, and then on top of that the marriage is bad. So yeah, I'm sure women were cheating more than what is being told. That makes sense to me. I'm not saying it's right, but people, like, in general, tend to cheat when they're with somebody they don't want to be with and they don't like them. So I feel like women being able to get a job and to provide for themselves is the safest thing that could have happened for everybody, because now you have and divorce. Okay, it's safe for both men and women, because when you have two people who feel like they're stuck together because of societal expectations, that is a cocktail for disaster and murder. It just is what it is, and trying to get some insurance money. That's what that sounds like to me. So I've done too much research on what was really going on at that time. I've spent too much time talking to both men and women who lived during that time. I know too many people who are products of an outside family for me to glorify that time. And you got to think, if it was so great, why did women rebel against it? Like, if women had it good and it was that much better by then, why even start a feminist movement? If it's not broke, don't fix it. If they're so happy, why would you purposefully mess up your own happiness? That doesn't make sense. People who are happy and like the way that a situation is going generally tend to try to keep it that way, or want to stay in the situation. They don't leave situations that they're happy in. That's opposite of human nature. Okay, let me go through these. Am I making sense, y'all? I mean, feel free to disagree, or if you have any information that's contrary to what I'm saying, but it makes sense to me. I mean, even when we talk about the 50s, another thing I don't like when we're talking about feminism too, um, one thing I hear people say as it pertains to black women is that feminism is for white women, and uh black women let white women lead us astray. I hear that all the time. Um and black women let white women break up our homes. I hear that all the time. And what's crazy to me is if you talk to any historian, actually Richard Wolff was talking about this. He's an economist. He is a Marxist economist. He's here on YouTube. And even him and his colleagues, like these are professors, went to the best universities. And this wasn't even a conversation about race. It was a conversation about economics and women in economics. And even they were saying black women always had to work. This is just well known. Black women were always working. Black women had never been housewives. It's just you had a small minority that could stay home, but the majority worked. And then on top of that, they're working and still having to deal with the same amount of disrespect that white women were dealing with at the time. And it's like, dang, I'm going out working and bringing home a check and still can't get no respect. Still getting treated the way these women who don't go to work are getting treated. I truly believe that as long as a woman has peace of mind, dominion over her resources, and self respect, she will flourish out here. No, that's true. Men are not needed in the happiness equation for a woman. Um, I would agree with that, Cha Cha. I feel like, honestly and truly, the measure of whether or not, and this goes for both men and women, the measure of whether or not a person is happy and worthy of being with is if they can be alone and by themselves. For example, I don't feel the need to try to convince men to be with women. Like, that's not an urge that I had. At one point, I did, right? But the more that I learn myself and I'm happy learning to be alone, like if a man come tells me he want to be single, or he don't want to date women, or he want to date a whole bunch of women, I don't feel the need to tell him, "Oh, you need to settle down. We need each other." It's like, okay, I don't care. That don't bother me. And if that's what you want to do, if you like it, I love it. And I don't feel the need to try to force people to be where they don't want to be. I'm completely happy with people being where they want to be for themselves. What's better, the times of old or the times of now? The community is completely done now. At least we were together then, together and miserable. We had Tulsa, Oklahoma, Harlem, New York, Charlotte, New York, etc. Okay, skinny boy. So if you're measuring better by together, if it's together and toxic and miserable, it's better to just be separate, in my opinion, because then you have just people suffering together. And here's the thing, because people were suffering together, that eventually has consequences and fallout, which is why we're here where we are at today. This didn't just happen in a vacuum. Uh, there wasn't just We didn't just wake up one day and there was tension between black men and black women. This has been a buildup that has happened for a very long time, and this is what it has culminated into. And people's lives were really really hard back then. I don't Again, we need to stop glorifying that. I mean, if you only knew what was going on at that time. um but this is what happens when we don't really have in-depth studying on history. Charlotte, North Carolina. I do not trust people that don't know how to be alone. Yeah, because then it's codependent. It's like, are you with me because you like me, or are you with me because you don't want to be by yourself and you're running from you? Because if you running from you, then why should I be with you? Okay, you don't even like you. Why should I like you? Why the f would I want to be with you if you don't like being with you? Yeah, that's true. Like, for what? You just gonna make me miserable. Women need to stop telling men what to do. We do. We need to cut that out. Quit trying to make. I hate when I get on the internet now and I see women trying to tell men how they should be treating us and what we should be doing. Girl, he not doing it because he don't want to. So why are you begging and trying to convince them to do stuff they don't want to do? Just leave them alone. Let them be them. And if you don't like who they are, then quit dealing with them. Stop begging and trying to convince them. If we feel like we don't need each other, then we are done as a community. Okay, skinny boy, and that's fine. This is the whole point of what I'm saying. That's okay. You can find community and tribe in other places that's not based on race. If we can't find other black people who have the same morals, values, needs, and desires that we want, that is okay. Either you can be what you need for you, which is very possible, or you can go find it somewhere else. You're free to go do that. And that's the amazing thing about being on planet Earth and all of us being so different. You can find your tribe anywhere. Why limit yourself to just the racial aspects of it? We got to go deeper and higher than that. That's played out. That's not the future. If you still talking about race and still trying to make decisions based on race, you're behind. We're moving beyond that. It's okay to be separate and happy as a people. Yes. When I tell you I am so like I have a daughter, and her father and I basically we just when we were together we couldn't get along. I'm going to leave it at that, right? And I could not imagine us trying to live in the house together and raise my daughter. For me, that would look like doing a significant amount of cutting myself down. That would mean living in a household where I was walking on eggshells at all time. What my life would look like if I wanted to get along with my daughter's dad. What my life would look like is I'd go to work, maybe if he probably wouldn't like that too much, but if I did, I go to work and I come home and I would not have any social media at all. So I couldn't even do this. And I like this. Um and when I did post on social medias, I have to post like I look like I'm going to church in my Sunday's finest every time. And I come home and I cook and clean. Um, which I do that anyway. But don't expect any kind of like thank you or warmth in behind that. And then I'd leave him alone. Like I literally, he wouldn't want to be bothered. He'd want to sit up and after work he'd want to watch TV and play the video game. But at the same time I probably wouldn't have any friends. I probably wouldn't go out. And her dad would have like the final say in everything, or else it would just not, I don't know, it wouldn't be a good situation. And my daughter would watch me be this woman who doesn't really have a life or doesn't really have any goals or dreams or desires. I would just come home and cook and clean and go in my room and take care of her. That's it. Oh my God, I'm so glad me and my daughter's dad are not together. Why? It works out better. He lives 3 hours from me. I live over here. Me and my daughter go have fun. Like today we went to the park. We like meeting new people. We talk to strangers. We go create things together. She sees me have really good connections with my female friends and family members. And she sees me working on my goals and my dreams. And as a result, my daughter is really talkative. She's really articulate. She's really creative in art. Like, she's a just a naturally good artist at 7 years old. Um, she's very articulate, an amazing conversationalist. She's not on the iPad or the phone all the time. She just has such a full life, and I don't see me being able to parent her the way that I would want to parent her if I was with her dad. So this works out perfectly, and she gets to see both of us in a good light. She doesn't have a negative opinion of me, and she doesn't have a negative opinion of her dad, because we interact with her in her own way, and she doesn't see us living in the home together interacting negatively. Nobody has to be the bad guy. Okay? He parents how he wants to when she's over there. I parent how I want to when she's over here. Let's go, Mariah. I'm with you on that. Race is important because we are breeding out our bloodline. We are the first on the planet, but now we are seeking other races, which isn't the answer. So, skinny boy, it's like, and I'm not trying to be mean. I never I never told anybody to go seek any, like, if you don't want to reproduce with a person of another race, then you don't have to. Being alone is an option. Not reproducing is an option. It's also an option that if you want to and you get along with somebody in your race and it makes sense, it works, that you have a child with another black woman in a healthy manner. But it's also okay if you meet a white woman or an Asian woman who y'all have a better dynamic and you want to have a kid with them. But my point is, just keeping a bloodline alive just for the sake of it and it adds no value. What is the purpose? What is the purpose? You got all these black people here on earth who is just breeding together, and if they breeding together but don't share the same morals and values, goals, wants, dreams, and desire, they just breeding together, then you get a situation like what we're in now, where you have a whole bunch of broken homes or people that had kids by folks that they don't even like. And then on top of that, they don't even know how to parent. It's one thing if you have a kid by somebody you don't like, but it's another thing if you do that and then you have to raise the kid on your own and you don't even have any training on how to be a good parent. So now you just creating kids that also don't know how to be good parents, and then they're having more kids. It's just a vicious cycle. So this is the problem. Like, this is my point I'm trying to make is black people feeling like they have to be together is the reason why we are here now to begin with. And when I say be together, I don't necessarily mean just in the capacity of being married. I'm talking about laying down together, dating each other. I can't tell you how many couples I meet, and this ain't even just black people at this point, because the single parenthood rate is going up across in America. It's going up with white people as well, right? You got so many people laying together that don't even know themselves, and they just laying together for the sake of laying together and having kids and feeling like they have to reproduce. No, you don't have to do. We already overcapacitated, over populated. There's no other species on this earth that reproduces the way that we reproduces. This is unnecessary. And then on top of that, you have a whole bunch of people who are reproducing for the wrong reasons. The race needs to heal itself on an individual level before trying to form partnerships and community, in my opinion. That's right, Cha Cha. For real, I can't tell you. And here's the thing, I used to be one of these people. And that's why when I talk about it, y'all, I feel the way I feel about it, and it comes out as like passionate. I used to be one of those people who listen to Dr. Omar and talk about the black community and black people need to be together. But I've grown beyond that space. Like, I'm past that. I really, honestly, and truly don't see the world like that anymore. And I know that when I was doing that, me trying to get other people to change was a way of me escaping me dealing with myself. And once I began to deal with me, I stopped caring about race. 1000%. The sun is wiping out other races. Look it up. Mixing is not the solution. I'm not saying that mixing is the solution. I'm saying people learning who they are and making informed decisions based on them having a knowledge and an understanding of themselves. That's the solution. Oh, thank you, Cha Cha. Yeah, that's my baby. She's so sweet. Oh, thank you, Cha Cha. Yes, y'all, please hit the thumbs up, even if y'all are not commenting, or please hit the like so that my video can get circulated across these YouTube streets. Yeah, I feel like we're too stuck on race. It's to the point where I don't even like having these conversations anymore. I really don't. um Somebody was talking to me the other day about how saying, white people are holding us back, and I don't think like y'all. I really don't think like that. I'm not saying systemic racism doesn't exist, okay? I'm not saying that. But I as an individual cannot fix the system. I cannot fix other people. All I can do is be mad by myself, and I refuse to do that. What I can do is focus on me and say, hey, okay, I know things might seem like they're stacked against me, but what do I have at my disposal to use at my advantage? And how can I better myself? How can I control the controllables? And when you start to think like that, you don't care about nothing else no more. You really, because it don't affect you. It don't affect you at all. When true accountability, y'all, when you become somebody who is truly accountable. See, this is the problem with everybody that I've noticed. Accountability is like this buzzword. You have men who want women to be accountable for the things that they do, but they don't want to be accountable for their role. You have women who want men to be accountable for the things that they do, but they don't want to be accountable for their role. You have black people who want white people to be accountable for the things that they do, but they don't want to be accountable for their role. You want white people to be like, everybody wants everybody else to be accountable and pointing the finger. But when you are truly accountable, then what everybody else does is no longer a factor. Even if somebody does you wrong, a truly accountable person knows it's my fault. Even if it's not. It's my fault. Even if it's not. Right? Every time somebody does something wrong to me, because I know I cannot change who that person is and how they move and how they think, I think about what could I have done to have either made a better decision when dealing with them or avoided that situation at all. That's the only thing that I can control. So it's my fault, even if it's not. And no, that's not to make me feel bad about myself. But guess what? What if the situation comes back around? I promise you I'm gonna move better. I promise you I learned the lesson. You got so many people who continue to learn these same, they don't even learn. They go through the same situations over and over and over again because they never learn the lesson because they're too busy trying to make the other party be accountable. And that's the real problem. Cha cha, the race conversation is honestly draining at this point. It has led to nothing productive, just bickering and exposing people's lack of personal accountability. Facts. Don't nobody want to hear that. Don't nobody want to hear none of that. You know what was really embarrassing to me? It's another reason why I'm tired of the race conversation. You had Killer Mike and all these men sit down. You get an opportunity to talk to the president of the United States. You have the opportunity to talk to Joe Biden. And the one thing that you choose to bring up is abolishing the child support system for Black men. And they thought they was really doing something. And they don't know how embarrassing that whole conversation was. Because I've never, ever seen another race of men have the opportunity to sit down with the president of the United States and bring up paying for their responsibilities like their children. And we say we don't want to be stereotyped and that we don't want people looking at us a certain way. But you get on national TV and tell another man, the same white man that we say is oppressing us, that you don't want to be responsible for taking care of your child financially. That was so embarrassing. Y'all don't understand how embarrassed I was. It's not only embarrassing for the men who was up there talking, it is embarrassing for the women who had children by then. The Killer Mike thing was truly embarrassing. Girl, they don't they and then my whole thing is you can't have it both ways. Hold on. Um on the one hand, you say this man is oppressing you and doesn't care about Black people. And on the other hand, you begging this person to relieve you of your duties to your children. So it's either they care about you enough to where you feel like you can comfortably go beg, or they don't care about you. And then if they don't care about you, then why you going asking for stuff like that? Why you going and embarrassing yourself? Y'all, I wanted to I wanted to sink up underneath the floor. It was so embarrassing. And then on the internet, you see people applauding this. And I'm like, do y'all not know that other races of men pay child support? That's not just a Black people thing. Okay. There are other races of men who pay child support, spouses support, all kind of support. Okay. But especially on the child support thing, there are other races of men who pay child support. And you don't see them getting on national television with the presidents having this conversation because they understand it is embarrassing. If Black men don't want to pay child support, they should keep their D's in their pants. Once again, lack of personal accountability. Shaking my head. Yes, cha. And again, that accountability goes both ways. Like, here's the problem. Like I was saying earlier, you got the women who keep on having kids by these men who I've seen women who will have a baby by a man who won't take care of his kid, and then she have two or three more, and then she's still talking about her baby daddy. And it's like, man, he showed you the first time that he does not want to be financially responsible for a child. Or he might have other kids already here that he's not taking care of. So that should have let you know then that you shouldn't have took your behind to go have a baby by him. But guess what? It's also the men. They have this urge to go spread their seed, but don't want to deal with the responsibility that comes from it. But the fact of the matter here is here in the United States, we have a child support system. Everybody knows that. You know that before you go do it. So I don't care that you have to pay child support. I don't care. Not trying to hear that. That's a loser mentality. That whole and then there are multiple reasons why men get placed on child support. And that's another thing. Just complaining about child support in general is embarrassing, right? But all this conversation around, oh, these women are putting me on child support, not take care of my child. What does that mean? What does that look like? And is what you're doing enough to really be picking up your slack of the financial burden that comes with raising kids? Or do you feel like because you bought diapers that month and maybe a can of formula that you did your part? Like I said earlier, everyone's reproductive system needs to go dormant. I believe so too. I believe so too until they can get their mind right. But that's not going to happen. And what I do say that I have been seeing lately, that I'm loving to see is I see a lot of women who are deciding that they're going to either, go child free or they're going to be one and done. The one and done movement is real. I feel like I'm a part of that. I don't think I'll have another kid. Um, because one isn't like I pour a lot into my daughter. And I don't see myself just getting with somebody having a kid just to have a kid. Like, I don't know. I think I'm one and done too. But you see a lot of women who are foregoing having children altogether. And I think that will be a great thing because we don't want to continue to throw gasoline on a fire. And it's up to us because the men are not going to control themselves. Okay, that is just in men's nature. They want to sleep with women, they want to spread their seed, they want to reproduce. That is not in our nature. We don't think about spreading our seed and reproducing. So it's up to us to be the gatekeepers. No life can enter this earth without our facilitation and assistance. Child free woman here. I respect the one and done women too. Learning your lesson after the first time is always a beautiful thing to see. Yeah, no, exactly. And I feel like I'm one of those. Like I would definitely never have a kid again by somebody who I feel like I wouldn't want to be with or do life with. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not advocating for people to just be having a whole bunch of kids out of wedlock. I had a kid out of wedlock. I had a kid with a boyfriend. I had a kid. I'm gonna keep it all the way 1,000. I had a kid by a man who, before I even got pregnant, I knew 2 years before I had the kid that I did not want to be with him. But I was scared to be alone. And he was scared to be alone. Now, I'm grateful I had my daughter, but because I've grown and I know better and I'm doing better, I would never even stay with somebody long enough to even be in a situation where I had a kid. Now I'm like, once I realize it's not going to work and that we're not compatible and that I need to move around, I get the F on for real. I'm not finna stay with nobody. And it's just because people feel like we should be with somebody and we don't need to die alone or be alone. I'm not gonna die alone. I got plenty of friends and family. I treat my daughter really well. And if it's meant for me to die alone, that's fine too. Because I came in this world by myself. So who cares? We all gotta go out some way. What Glorilla say at the end of the day gotta end. So it's not that serious. Also, having a kid in this economy right now is crazy. Ma'am, it is so bad over here. So I live in Texas, right? And I'm gonna tell y'all this. This might, depending on where you live, this might sound really cheap to y'all. What I'm about to tell you has happened to our rental market. You might listen to this and be like, okay, well that's nothing. That's those are costs that y'all can absorb, but no. So when I moved out of the house, I was 18 years old. I had me a job working at a bank and I was only making like 10.50 an hour. I didn't have a car. I was riding the bus and I was going to college down the street from my apartment and my job. So I could walk to work if I needed to, or I could walk to my college if I needed to. And this was before I transferred to a university. I moved out on my own at 18 And on $10.50 an hour, I could afford to pay all my bills. I lived in a one bedroom. It was probably like 500, almost 600 square feet apartment. And I was paying $500 a month here in Dallas, Texas. It wasn't in the hood, it was in a safe neighborhood close to my college. $500 a month. That same apartment probably runs for about $1,500 today. And that's because it's an older apartment complex. All of the either renovated, if it's a renovated older apartment complex for a two-bedroom, they're charging $2,500. And these new luxury apartments that are built really cheap and fast, like the rent is starting at $2,500. And again, if you live in somewhere like New York, you hear that and you think that's a deal. But if you're actually from Texas, the economy has not grown fast enough or diversified fast enough for the people who are actually from here to keep up with these changes and absorb these changes. Like if you came from California and you already worked in the tech industry and you were already paying $3,500 a month for a one bedroom apartment, and you move down here and you pay $1,000 or $2,000 less, then that's a deal for you, but you were already coming here trained in a skill where you were getting paid enough to keep up with that lifestyle. Most people in Dallas, it used to be you could not have a college degree and have a regular job and still be out here making it and doing good for yourself. Now it's not like that anymore. You either have to be an entrepreneur or work in the medical or tech industry or have something else going on. You can't just, be working at a store somewhere and take care of yourself. But you used to be able to do that here. I live in Miami, Florida, Miami, Fort Lauderdale area, and it's no better here. Shaking my head. I'm really considering moving to a small town at this point. Girl, y'all see, I'm getting the F on and moving all the way out the country. Because the problem with moving to a small town is lack of opportunity. It's a lack of opportunity. So it's like you'll move there and things will be cheaper, but you also, unless you can figure out how to make money online, which you can, if you move to a small town, you do well to figure out a way to either have a remote job where you're making really good money or build some type of online footprint to where you can sell things online or have a YouTube channel or create content or figure out how to have some type of more passive income online, and that will work out much better if you're moving to a small town. But if you're moving to a small town to have like work opportunities where you have to go into a job every day, that's where living in a small town can be burdensome. What's the answer for our community? Skinny boy, my answer is not changing. Like, people need to stop thinking of themselves as a community based on race. Okay? Build you first, work on you first, and then bring yourself back to the table as a whole healed person. That and I'm not saying that you're not, I'm just speaking in general, as a whole healed person who does not want to force people to do as you do and think how you think, and then see where you go from there. I believe personal healing is the first step to finding the answer for the Black community. Until we do that, the race converts is honestly, oh, the race conversation is what you mean. It's honestly just another distraction. Yes, it's just people sitting up talking all day about how we feel people are mistreating us and how we feel like we're mistreating each other, and nobody actually ever doing the work on themselves. Like, that's dead. Okay. Uh the people who are just working on themselves and don't care what other people got going on, they are the ones who have the future. They are the ones who hold the future. They are the ones who are going to be able to build real community regardless of what the people in those community look like. It's going to be about shared morals, values, and ideas. Skinny boy. I'm in Tallahassee, Florida. It's done here in the States. Relocate out of this country. Yes. Now, what I will say too though is we gotta watch how we move when we're going to these other countries. Cause I'm even like monitoring the situation that's going on in Colombia, and people are getting real tired of Americans real quick. Because people are going to Colombia trying to move and do the same stuff they do in the States. And other people, they don't have no tolerance for that. So it's like if we're gonna move somewhere else, we gotta be willing to conform to the values. That's just like people in California when they move to Texas, they get upset about the culture in Texas because they only moved here to have a cheaper standard of living. You don't actually agree with the culture and value of a red Republican state. Wouldn't I mean, that's just what it is here in Florida, here in Texas. And if you want this state to be just like California, then guess what's going to happen? It's going to end up looking like the same situation that you ran from. And I'm not even a Republican, y'all. It's just I'm like I'm like politically homeless. You got to ask me the topic for me to get an opinion. You never know what I'm going to say. It could go one way or the other. But I also, understand I live in a Republican state, and I look at each situation, each issue case by case. It's a lot of things that I agree with our governor about. It's some things I don't agree with our governor about. Uh, but you got people coming to this state trying to completely change the politics of this state. And it's like, okay, you just came here because you wanted a cheaper standard of living. No, that's not how that go. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. We're Americans now. Yep, I like that answer. Definitely want to leave the country. I just have a major responsibility to tend to here in the States for the time being. Your time gonna come, cha-cha. If you really want to leave, your time is gonna come. It's okay. Take care of your responsibility, but never let go of that goal of trying to leave. Politically homeless, I like that. Yeah, girl, I don't identify with none of that stuff. When people get to arguing about, Democrats versus Republicans, and oh, but your side did this, but your side did that, I'd be like, this whole conversation is stupid. Because at the end of the day, rich people gonna have rich people back. I don't care if they Democratic or Republican. Rich people ain't never gonna go against their own best interest. So you got all of us poppers down at the bottom arguing on behalf of these rich folks. Ain't nobody got time for that. I plan on going to Costa Rica. I have a homegirl who is thinking about going to Costa Rica. She went and visited, and she said that it was really pretty. They value their ecosystem, and they value their traditional values. The Western society is done. Yeah, I think when I think of the states now, and I think this is something a lot of people have caught on to. I think I'm just kind of slow to catch on to it. America is not a place where you come to if you want to build like close connections with people. It is uh for the purposes of wealth extraction. You figure out how you make money off of the people who are living in the matrix over here, but you don't live in the matrix. And there are people who have long figured this out and been doing it. Um, but that's pretty much how it goes. If you label yourself, all the stereotypes of that label attached to you. Yeah, and then it feels like, what I hate about that, and don't get me wrong, I'm not anti-label in general. Um, but what you said does apply to just labels in general as well, but it especially applies when you're talking about politics. And then what happens is people, even if they hear something that makes sense, or they hear an argument um that goes against their team, that is a better argument, they feel like it's disloyal to concede the point. So then they would rather just look stupid than concede the point, which is crazy to me. You know, They would rather look stupid than be disloyal. They would rather look hypocritical than be disloyal to their party. They would rather be in denial than concede to universal truths. And then it's like, well, nobody can take you seriously then. Like, I can't take people seriously that are willing to say and agree with anything just as long as it goes along with a line of thinking or um these uh the rhetoric, right? Predetermined rhetoric. I can't take you seriously. I can't even talk to you cuz it's like talking to a robot, and you don't really value the things you're saying. You value the party. You value the idea of what you think you should be and what you think you should say. And don't nobody have time to entertain that all day. The mouthy facts. I appreciate your insight, Mariah. Good evening, every. Oh, okay, skinny boy, you going to sleep or something? Well, it was good talking to you. Hope to see you on the next one. Thank you. My example would be claiming black or white. Yeah, because what does that really mean? Like when you really think about it. Um, it used to be so I'm biracial, right? I grew up I never like grew up around my dad. Um I my mom is black, but then I always kind of had this I don't want to say I had a racial identity problem cuz I feel like other people cared more than me. Um so my mom is black. My first stepdad was from Vietnam, but he grew up over here most of his life. Like they came over here during the fall of Saigon. And my second stepdad was Egyptian. And he came over here like when he was older, right? And he did most of the cooking and cleaning in the house. And the neighborhood I lived in, we had some I went to school with black kids, but the neighborhood I lived in was predominantly Hispanic. So I go to school and be around black people, but in my apartment complex, it was mostly Hispanic. Um so for me, I would go to school and a lot of the black kids would say, well, what are you? I tell them I'm mixed. Well, you have to choose. What are you? Are you black or you have to choose? And I was always confused by the conversation because it didn't really mean anything. Okay, I tell you what you want to hear. I tell you I'm a black person, and that's the side that I picked. That don't change who I am. That doesn't mean that we've come to some sort of agreement on values. So, I mean, I heard that as a kid, and for whatever reason, it didn't bother me. Like, I don't feel like I had the same identity crisis that a lot of biracial people had. Um, because I just grew up around so many different cultures that I just like so many different things that I didn't really care all that much. So now it's kind of like, okay, somebody tells me, I see somebody and I notice they're black. what does what does that matter to the connection that we have? Like, that doesn't mean I'm going to talk to you and we have an interesting conversation. That doesn't mean I'm going to get along with you. That doesn't mean I'm going to like you as a person. So why do it matter? And that goes for anybody of any race, in any social class. I don't care, because that tells me nothing about how we're going to get on as people or how we're going to get along, right? There are people who, like, I've seen young black men who are like nerdy and they really like anime, feel like just because they're a young black boy, then they have to pretend that they don't like anime, and that they have to pretend that they listen to rap music when they don't. They're just putting on for when they get around other black people. Like, why should we have to live our life like that? Just to keep instead with an identity that don't really mean nothing. Because even if you go to Africa, they don't identify themselves as black. Like they go by their tribes and cultural values. Like they're not trying to hear all that black stuff. That don't mean we have anything in common. I grew up in San Francisco Bay Area, super diverse. I consider many people of other races to be black, meaning cool. So you associate blackness with coolness? Or do you mean like you grew up in San Francisco and a lot of the people there that may be of different races were immersed in black culture? Because I'm telling you, I be meeting Asian people that like rap music way more than me. Like stuff that's like considered black culture and things that black people should like. I meet plenty of people of other races who indulge in black culture way more than I do. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to be mistaken as somebody who don't I don't want to seem like I come on here and like I don't like black people. Y'all, most of my like again, I'm always around my family on my mom's side, they're black and most of my really good friends are black women. I love being around as long but not all. I shouldn't say I love being around black women. I get along with this group of black women cuz we share the same values cuz there's plenty of black women who I would never hang out with or never want to be around. But I love the black women that I'm around. But I tend to find the traits that I admire in the black women that I'm around when I am friends with other races of women, like Latina women, they have those same traits. Yeah, urban culture. Because when you really think about it, even like rap music, the beatboxing, all of that stuff, that came, from the Bronx. But that wasn't just black people. That was Hispanics. That was Puerto Ricans. And I know y'all are gonna say, well, Puerto Ricans are black. Not all Puerto Ricans are mixed with black. It's kind of like the same thing here in the United States. Not every American is one race or mixed. Okay, you have a multitude of races from every different nationality. Okay, Puerto Rico is a country, it is not a race. So you have these Puerto Ricans and black kids coming up with this culture, right? But okay, guys, I feel like, look, I've been on here. It seems like I'm starting to end these lives at an hour and 20 minutes. That seems like that's going to be the going time for now. I don't see how people that mentality leads to the finish that cha-cha before I get off. I don't see how people be on live for like 4 hours. Maybe I'll get to that point. Cause like right now it's like literally under 10 of us that are is in the chat. So maybe when I have a lot more people in the chat and to keep it going, I could probably do a 4 or 5 hour live. Um Permitting that I had time, but as of right now, I'm like, "Ooh, how do people talk that long? My throat be hurting." Everyone has a choice to be cool or nerdy. That's true. That's true. Good night, loves. I hope you all have a peaceful Sunday. Y'all too. And thank you for everybody who watched, even if you didn't comment. Y'all remember to please hit that like button on your way out. That is how my videos will get circulated across these YouTube streets. And guys, I promise y'all, I'm going to figure out this week how to like set my camera up and my mic and all this stuff that I have so that I can bring y'all a more quality live and perhaps even bring some of y'all on while I'm live. So that's gonna be like top priority for me this week in my YouTube channel. I think I'm gonna come on tomorrow. Maybe I'll work on it tonight and see if I can get everything together for tomorrow. Get the StreamYard up. I have like I'm on StreamYard right now. So I have StreamYard. I just don't know. I have to connect everything is what I'm saying, D Mally. Like I gotta figure out how to use it all the way. Cause last time I got on live and I was on camera and I was sharing my screen, What the issue was my connection was bad. Let's start there. The Wi-Fi was bad, and the camera quality was bad. And I don't know if the camera quality was bad because my Wi-Fi was bad, or because I was using the camera that was on the laptop. So now I actually have a real camera. Like I have a real good camera. And then my volume was terrible as well. Um so now I actually have a real mic for podcast. I have all that stuff. I just have to figure out how to use it. Okay. And I don't want to get on here. So right now I'm on my phone, but I don't want to get on my laptop and not have everything connected the way it's supposed to be connected. And then y'all have to suffer through bad audio and bad visuals. Like, nah, I'm not gonna do that to y'all. I mean, nah, we just not doing that. So as soon as I can get it together, I'm gonna get it together. Yes, okay, yeah, I can't wait to do call-ins. I feel like I will have much better lives when I'm able to talk to people via phone, or over the audio, or via video, than me having to talk to y'all through chat. It's just more organic when the conversation can flow. We can do a test run and fine tune it with you. Oh yeah, let's do that. And I think there's a way that I can like only invite certain people to see it. If y'all don't follow me on D Mally and Cha Cha, if y'all don't follow me on Instagram, follow me and message me so that I know what you my name on Instagram is Mariah Sincere. Follow me and message me so I know that it's you, so I can follow you back. And then when I'm ready to do that, I'll send y'all a message and see if we can set up a time that works for y'all. So again, it's Mariah Sincere. Same as on my YouTube channel. Um, but like again, let me know that it's you so that I make sure I follow back. But okay, y'all, it's been real. Thank y'all for showing up. Y'all have a good night.